Hey guys, welcome back. I have another 3D Blu-ray review for you here. We have X-Men Days of Future Past. This is actually the first X-Men movie to be shot natively in 3D, so I thought it was worth a video. And yeah, it's one of my favorites. So this one takes place in the future, and what I like about this movie is it has the cast from the original X-Men trilogy and the cast from the prequel films as well. So it starts out in the future where most of mutant kind has been wiped out by the Sentinels, these big robot beings here that were designed to target mutants and also humans that could potentially have children that would be mutants. And yeah, so the future looks really bleak. It looks like a post-apocalyptic future. And so we have, in the beginning, we have some of the old mutants like the old Magneto, Charles Xavier, Wolverine, Storm, Iceman, Colossus, Kitty, Bishop, a couple others, I can't remember their names, but anyway, what they're doing is Kitty keeps sending Bishop back in time by like a week or so to warn them every time a Sentinel is about to attack them, and that's how they're able to stay ahead most of the time to keep themselves alive. And then Xavier comes up with the idea where he's like, hey, why don't we send somebody back years, like decades, to where before the Sentinels were even created so we can stop them from ever being created and thus changing the future. And she's like, well, Professor, I can't do that because your mind would break. And Wolverine's like, well, hey, my mind can heal a lot. I can heal a lot, so what if you send me back? And they're like, hey, why not? So they send Wolverine back, and he has to find the young Xavier and the young Magneto, bring them together, and try to stop the Sentinel program from ever being created. And so that's what this movie is about. It's a blast. It's a really good movie. So let's talk about the 3D. So at first, when I first started it, I felt like I was going to be really disappointed. It takes place in the future, and it's very dark, and I felt that the 3D was very bland. And I was like, are you kidding me? This movie was shot in 3D. I feel like it should be better. But it was pretty bad. And then at the end of chapter 2, when a Sentinel is like ripping a door open and peeking its head into the room, its head kind of protrudes out of the screen as its face opens up and it blasts through. And that looked a little cool, but not good enough in my opinion. But then I was surprised in the next scene when Wolverine wakes up in the past. That's when the 3D really starts to kick in. For the rest of the movie, once he wakes up in the past, the movie is just sensational in 3D. A lot of really good depth and pop-outs. Let's see, there's chapter 14 is probably the best scene, and if you've seen this movie in 3D already, you probably know which scene I'm talking about. It's the scene where Quicksilver, Xavier, and Wolverine are breaking Magneto out of prison, and they come into this kitchen, and the sprinkler system is turned on, so water is just like spraying everywhere, and it looks like the silhouettes of the characters are just kind of protruding out of the screen with the background of the kitchen separated really far in the back, and you've got the water droplets falling down from the sprinklers. This looks fantastic. And then it goes into this slow motion scene, well, sort of a slow motion scene, where Quicksilver saves the day by, Quicksilver runs really fast, but to him, everything is in slow motion. And so he's going around the room. Everything is moving in slow motion. The water droplets, bullets are flying out of the screen, and he's just kind of moving them here and there. There's all sorts of stuff going on. This is probably the best 3D in the film. But it doesn't stop there. There's also chapter 20. There's a wonderful scene where Magneto, he's using his magnetic powers to hold up a gun, and he's about to shoot Mystique with it, and the bullet comes out of the gun, and in slow motion it's just popping right out of the screen, and then it starts to follow her out the window. She crashes out the window of the building, and all this glass and stuff is coming out of the screen as well. And when she lands in the street, there's this big crowd, and there's all these different layers of depth separating everything, and it just looks fantastic, guys. I wouldn't say it's as good as some of the newer Marvel releases that we've gotten recently, like, you know, Ant-Man Quantumania or Guardians Volume 3, but for its time, this was actually really good. But for a rating, I would say I'd probably give this one a 3.8 out of 5 stars. It's really solid 3D, but there were some scenes where it fell a little flat here and there. It wasn't always consistent, and the scenes that were flat, I also felt like the picture lost some of its sharpness and even contrast at times. It looked a little muddied, watered down, but it was still fun. It's also worth noting that there is a extended version of this film, the Rogue Cut, which I actually do like better. I usually watch that most of the time for its added scenes. I feel like it really adds a lot more to the movie. And that one can be found on 1080p Blu-ray, but you can also buy it on streaming platforms such as Fandango at home, and you can buy it in 4K with HDR10 and Dolby Digital Plus, I think. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there as well. But if you're a 3D enthusiast, I highly recommend this film too. I've seen it on sale for like 20 to 30 bucks, and I definitely think it's worth the price. And also, when I bought it, it came with this too. This was like a special collector's edition thing. Came with Magneto's helmet here. When I got it, I actually thought that it was going to be more life-size and I could actually wear this for Halloween or something. But no, it's pretty small, so sometimes I put it on my cat. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Thanks for watching.